A man does not wake up one morning and decide to stop pursuing exclusivity the way a poet decides to write. He withdraws the idea quietly, like a banker pulling credit from a failing business. There is no announcement, no dramatic speech, just a subtle shift in investment. Fewer plans, looser language, a sudden allergy to labels. If you miss the moment it happened, that is because you were looking for romance and he was running an audit. Here is the hook most people choke on. Men do not stop pursuing exclusivity because they are confused. They stop because they have decided you are no longer worth consolidating. That decision is not emotional. It is strategic. And once it is made, it is rarely reversed. Most women are taught to believe exclusivity is the natural outcome of time, chemistry, and shared intimacy. This belief is adorable and expensive. Time does not pressure men into commitment. Access does. And when access is abundant without consequence, exclusivity becomes unnecessary overhead. A man pursues exclusivity when it benefits him. He abandons it when it does not. That is the entire philosophy, stripped of sentiment and handed to you without anesthesia. In the early stages, men operate like prospectors. They scan, test, sample. They invest lightly and observe reactions. Attention is cheap at this stage. Words are abundant. Promises float easily because they are not backed by cost. Exclusivity is not even on the table yet because there is no leverage to negotiate with. He is assessing your market value relative to his options. The first mistake women make is assuming sexual access accelerates exclusivity. It often delays it. When intimacy arrives before differentiation, a man has no incentive to close the deal. He already has the benefits without the obligation. Men do not commit to what they already own in practice. This is where simps melt down emotionally. They want to believe men are overcome by feelings. Feelings do exist, but they are rarely decisive. Men feel attraction and still avoid commitment. Men feel attachment and still hedge their bets. Men feel desire and still keep exits open. Emotion informs interest. Strategy determines behavior. Exclusivity represents a narrowing of options. Men do not narrow options unless pressured by risk. Risk of loss, risk of competition, risk of miscalculation. When those risks are absent, exclusivity remains an unnecessary constraint. Watch when men stop pursuing it. It usually follows one of three internal conclusions. He believes you are too available. He believes you will wait. Or he believes he can replace you without cost. None of these conclusions require hatred or disrespect. They require comfort. Comfort is lethal to exclusivity. When a man feels too secure in your interest, he begins to relax his pursuit. He delays conversations. He becomes vague about the future. He frames exclusivity as premature, or labels as unnecessary. This is not because he fears commitment. It is because he fears inefficiency. Why invest more when the return is already guaranteed? Men are deeply sensitive to leverage, even when they pretend not to be. If a man senses that you have emotionally committed before he has structurally committed, the chase ends quietly. He does not need to lock you down. You are already parked in his garage. There is a particular arrogance men develop when they believe a woman is emotionally anchored. They stop competing for her attention. They stop protecting the connection. They begin to treat exclusivity as optional rather than earned. This is not cruelty. This is human economics. Women who understand men know this moment immediately. It is the moment when curiosity disappears, when questions fade, when his interest stops expanding and starts maintaining. Maintenance is not pursuit. Maintenance is preservation of access. Men decide to stop pursuing exclusivity when they feel no threat of loss. Loss is the only force that sharpens male focus. Without it, he drifts. There is a reason men become oddly philosophical when asked about exclusivity. They talk about timing, freedom, growth, not rushing things. This language is not accidental. It is a smokescreen for one simple truth. He does not feel pressure to decide. Pressure does not come from ultimatums. It comes from options. When a man senses that other men could realistically replace him, exclusivity becomes defensive. When he senses that no one else is in the picture, exclusivity becomes indulgent. This is where women sabotage themselves with reassurance. They clarify feelings. They explain patience. They signal loyalty before it is requested. Each explanation removes pressure. Each reassurance lowers urgency. Men hear comfort, not devotion. A man does not stop pursuing exclusivity because a woman is flawed. He stops because she is predictable. Predictability tells him he can delay without consequence. There is research that quietly confirms this dynamic while pretending to be polite about it. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships by Joel and colleagues in 2018 found that perceived partner availability and certainty reduced motivation to invest further in commitment behaviors. When people believe a partner is secure and unlikely to leave, they allocate less effort toward deepening commitment. In simple terms, when a man feels you are locked in, he unlocks himself. Exclusivity is effort. Effort requires incentive. Incentive requires uncertainty. Now let us discuss the uncomfortable distinction between women men enjoy and women men consolidate. Men enjoy many women. They consolidate few. Enjoyment requires attraction. Consolidation requires risk management. A man asks himself questions he would never admit out loud. Can she walk away? Does she have options? Does she respect herself enough to create consequences? Or is she emotionally invested in the outcome regardless of my behavior? When the answers lean toward emotional safety for him, exclusivity fades. Not because he dislikes her, because he does not need to choose her. This is where women confuse chemistry with position. Chemistry creates heat. Position creates leverage. Men commit to position, not heat. Heat can be found anywhere. Position cannot. A man stops pursuing exclusivity the moment he realizes that exclusivity would not change his access. If committing does not alter his benefit, why incur the cost? Cost is not just fidelity. It is accountability, visibility, expectation. Men are not allergic to accountability. They are allergic to unnecessary accountability. This is why women who maintain standards without speeches create pressure without conflict. They do not argue about exclusivity. They behave as if access requires structure. Men adapt or exit. The exit is not a tragedy. It is proof of valuation. Men who truly want exclusivity move toward it despite fear. Men who merely enjoy access move away from it despite attraction. The difference is not confidence. It is perceived replaceability. If a man believes losing you would damage his position, he consolidates. If he believes it would be inconvenient but survivable, he delays. If he believes it would be irrelevant, he disappears. The cruel joke is that men often decide to stop pursuing exclusivity long before women notice. They stop escalating. They stop imagining. They stop planning. Women are still reacting to yesterday's attention, while men have already shifted categories. This is why chasing clarity backfires. Asking where this is going when a man has already internally decided creates friction without leverage. He feels pressure without risk. Pressure without risk produces resistance. Men do not reward pressure. They reward consequences. Now pay attention to timing. Men are most open to exclusivity when uncertainty peaks, when they sense competition, when they sense emotional independence, when they sense you are evaluating them, not auditioning. The women men lock down are rarely the most accommodating. They are the least predictable, not chaotic, selective. This does not mean playing games. It means not collapsing into availability before investment appears. Men interpret early collapse as low cost. At some point, every man asks himself whether to turn access into obligation. That moment is brief. If nothing forces the decision, he defaults to comfort. The men who complain about commitment being scary are often men who have never felt the fear of loss. Fear clarifies priorities. Without it, exclusivity feels like charity. If you are wondering whether a man has stopped pursuing exclusivity, do not listen to his words. Listen to his trajectory. Is he building or hovering? Is he integrating or isolating? Is he narrowing or keeping doors open? Men rarely announce withdrawal. They simply stop advancing. And this is where the second half becomes important, because understanding why men stop is useless unless you understand what actually reactivates pressure without humiliation or begging. That is where most people lose their footing. Most women try to revive exclusivity by becoming more agreeable. This is like trying to restart a stalled engine by whispering encouragement. It misunderstands the mechanism entirely. Men do not move toward exclusivity because a woman is pleasant. They move because something threatens their position. Here is the part that irritates romantics and terrifies simps. Men do not commit to women they feel safe with. They commit to women they feel they could lose. Safety breeds delay. Risk breeds decision. Once a man has internally stopped pursuing exclusivity, he places you into a holding category. Not casual enough to discard, not valuable enough to secure. This is purgatory. You receive attention on his terms and silence on yours. He keeps you warm while scanning for better options. He is not evil. He is efficient. If you confront him emotionally at this stage, you confirm his power. You reveal that his indecision is costing you more than it is costing him. This imbalance reassures him that exclusivity is unnecessary. He already has leverage. Men often say they need more time. Time is rarely about reflection. It is about convenience. Time allows him to enjoy access without choosing. Choosing creates responsibility. Responsibility creates vulnerability. What men fear is not commitment. What they fear is committing incorrectly. Exclusivity is a bet. Men only place bets when the odds are favorable, or the loss would be intolerable. This is why men commit suddenly and without warning to one woman, while stringing another along for years. It is not about readiness. It is about calculation. The woman he commits to made his alternatives feel risky or inferior. The woman he delayed made him feel comfortable. Comfort is poison to exclusivity. Women who understand this do not negotiate commitment verbally. They structure access behaviorally. They do not ask for exclusivity. They live as if it is required. Men who want to stay adapt. Men who do not leave. The leaving is the point. A man who exits when structure appears was never going to commit. He was renting space in your life. Structure turns rentals into purchases. Some men disappear when the invoice arrives. Men decide to stop pursuing exclusivity when they feel they are auditioning no longer. The moment a man believes he has passed your test permanently, He stops studying. He stops impressing. He stops improving. This is why women who pedestalize men destroy their own leverage. Admiration without evaluation is surrender. Men sense this immediately. They relax into it. A man must feel watched to perform, not monitored, evaluated. Women who play this well maintain a subtle distance even in intimacy. Not coldness, gravity. Men orbit what has mass. Now let me puncture another fantasy. Men do not stop pursuing exclusivity because you are too strong or intimidating. That excuse is a polite lie men tell to avoid saying the truth. They stop because the relationship lacks tension. Tension is the engine of pursuit. Tension does not mean drama. It means uncertainty about outcome. The women men lock down are rarely begging for clarity. They are busy evaluating alignment. Men sense this shift. The frame reverses. He is no longer deciding whether to commit. He is deciding whether he qualifies. This is where simps start screaming manipulation. Of course they do. They believe effort entitles them to outcome. They cannot tolerate a system where leverage matters more than intention. Here is the dirty secret men will never admit publicly. Exclusivity is often a defensive move. It is a way to secure access to a woman who could easily choose someone else. Men call it love. It is also strategy. This does not make men villains. It makes them human. If you want to know whether a man has stopped pursuing exclusivity, watch how he responds to boundaries that cost him something. Does he adjust his schedule? Does he clarify intentions? Does he move closer or retreat into vagueness? Vagueness is withdrawal disguised as politeness. Men who are serious eliminate ambiguity. Men who are comfortable exploit it. Now, in the middle of this conversation, let me address the people who already know they are trapped in this gray zone and want out without detonating the connection. This is where one-on-one coaching exists. The explanation is pinned in the comment section. Coaching is not therapy. It is calibration. We analyze your specific dynamic, your leverage, your timing, and your blind spots. You get clarity without emotional spirals. You get restraint without self-sabotage. You get a strategy that fits your temperament rather than copying someone else's mistakes. If you ordered coaching already, check your spam or promotions folder. The emails enjoy hiding there, like cowards. The landing page is finished and will be added to the description and pinned comment. Read it. There is a free PDF and a video there that break this down with structure instead of noise. Subscribe to the newsletter while you are there. That is where discounts for coaching orders appear, without warning. And if you want the long-form framework, order the course called The Feminine Game. Emails have already been sent to everyone who ordered it. So again, check your spam or promotions folder before assuming you were forgotten. I also created a new channel called Ex-Pimp Explains Men Masterclass. I post twice a week. The videos are around 50 minutes long and go into territory short content avoids. There is a link explaining the new channel, if you want to understand men without pretending they are helpless children. Back to the anatomy of withdrawal. Men stop pursuing exclusivity when they believe the relationship no longer improves their position. Position includes status, emotional benefit, sexual access, and peace. If exclusivity adds obligation without upgrading any of these, it is rejected. Women often believe loyalty is the upgrade. Men often view loyalty as maintenance. The upgrade is replaceability risk. This is why men sometimes reappear when women emotionally detach. It is not because he suddenly realized your worth. It is because his calculation changed. Loss entered the equation. This attention spike is not commitment, it is assessment. Men probe to see if the old access is still available. If it is, they retreat again. If it is not, they escalate. Women who mistake this probe for change end up disappointed. Women who observe behavior over time gain clarity. Men decide to stop pursuing exclusivity quietly. They decide to pursue it loudly. When a man wants to lock something down, he removes ambiguity aggressively. He defines, he claims, he integrates. If he is not doing that, he has decided not to. Or he is waiting, because there is no cost to waiting. Waiting is only comfortable when the woman is stationary. This is where emotional independence becomes leverage. Not indifference. Independence. Men sense when a woman's life would continue without them. That awareness creates urgency. Urgency creates action. Now for the part that stings. Some men never pursue exclusivity with certain women because they have already categorized them as temporary. No amount of patience will change this. Time does not upgrade categories. Behavior does. This is not about worth. It is about alignment with his long-term incentives. The mistake is staying too long, hoping effort will change his mind. Effort without leverage entrenches his comfort. Men respect boundaries they did not negotiate. Boundaries explained are boundaries weakened. Boundaries enforced through behavior are boundaries respected. If you leave this video understanding one thing, let it be this. Men stop pursuing exclusivity when nothing forces a decision. If you create no pressure and no risk, you get no outcome. The women men choose are not always the kindest or the most giving. They are the most self-contained. Men feel they must rise to meet them. Simps will tell you this is manipulation. It is not. It is selection. Men select what they value. Women who make themselves scarce without becoming bitter create value naturally. If this irritated you, good. Irritation means a belief was challenged. If it clarified something you already felt, but could not articulate, even better. If you like this video, subscribe. If you did not like it, but watched to the end anyway, subscribe too. Curiosity deserves commitment. And comment below. Tell me whether you have ever watched a man slowly stop pursuing exclusivity without saying a word. Or tell me why you think men should commit just because they feel something. Either way, the comments will be more honest than most relationships. Disclaimer. This content was generated with the assistance of artificial intelligence and is designed for commentary, analysis, and educational discussion. It reflects simulated perspectives and narrative analysis, not factual claims about real individuals. Viewer discretion is advised.